Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Let's get right into it.
According to our medical standards, ideally there should be one doctor for every 1,000 people. But in India, it's about half. That is, about every 2,000 people have one doctor. Despite this disparity, most of us dream of going abroad and living in the comforts of the West. Sadhguru, what are the changes we should bring at both the national level as well as in the medical field to control this brain drain and talent drain in the country?
Before I can see brain drain? I mean, I don't know what she means by that. I'm going to make an assumption here that whenever you go to school, it's very tiring and exhausting, especially the amount of classes you have to take. I don't know if the same. I'm going to assume colleges on both sides are roughly the same. And I've seen that. And you want to do good, so you want to take as many classes as possible, generally speaking, to so that you can speed along your course. Now the talent drain, I know what you're talking about. That some, I wouldn't say it's the same thing in my country. There's just nothing. My birth country. There's literally almost nothing there, but it is developing, and I don't know if you're able to find out what country I was born in, but majority of the women are exported for work labor, and the men tend to be staying in the country because of certain fields that they go into. But anyways, so talent drain. I'm wondering. Honestly, that is a tough one because I do believe a lot of people say like America is a dream or like there's comforts and whatnot. Somewhat true. It doesn't mean you still have to work hard. There's still competition, and I think maybe the best way I don't know honestly the best way is to entice people with good pay, I guess. Again, I don't know what the pay is to doctors over there compared to abroad, and then I don't know if it's because there is a lot of Indian doctors in America for sure, and I do remember there was an where I work. There's an Indian doctor that comes in, he makes a lot of money, and I think he's the one that puts you to sleep. I forgot. I can't say the word. Anesthesiologist or something like that. It's such a tough word for me because I don't say it very much. But they make a lot of money, like a lot of money, and because I hear that he kind of just spends it like crazy and is still rich. So, and I'm wondering if that's the case. And then, maybe they tell their family back home, it's okay, get your kids into the medical field. And then I'm making this much. And then those people back home and wherever they're at, they say, hey, yeah, my uncle's making this, or my father's making this, or my cousin, or whatever is making all this. And they start spreading it, you know. And maybe that's why there's a talent drain. I don't know if it's necessarily anything else other than just maybe the money, considering that doctors do make a lot of money here. But I mean, it's a lot of hard work, you still have to be careful with the loss because you have to make sure you do things everything right, or otherwise you can get sued.
Yeah, I would treat these two things, the first part of the question and the second separately. Every 2,000 people need one doctor, I don't like that. You're saying there's not enough? Every 1,000 you need one, is it? Oh, I don't like that at all. I would like every 5 or 10,000 people has one doctor. That means they're healthy.
It depends on how it's done. You can look at it negative and both positive, meaning that because they're so healthy that you need fewer doctors, but at the same time, if so many people are injured, you need more doctors. So you need one doctor for every 500 because injuries happening more often. Or if you have one doctor for every 2,000, it means there's not enough doctors too. That's a negative. Sorry, that's a negative part of it.
Uh, Recently, because we are working to see how to bring preventive uh, care into hospitals, large hospitals, so we are working with a large group, the Apollo group. The chairperson came to meet me along with his whole team, and he was telling me situations how young doctors, particularly cardiologists, having heart attacks and dying. He was talking about an incident where a 30-year-old doctor was driving home. On the way, there was their own cardiac care center, something was there. but he did not realize that he needs it, because you always think somebody else needs it, all right. He went home, parked his car, got down, took 3 steps, collapsed right there in front of his house door. By the time his wife came and opened the door, he died. Like this, he said, these things are happening very often.
Whoa.
When this came up, I just started thinking, oh, do we have such a possibility? Because we have over 4,000–5,000 people living in the yoga center, and every day at least 10 to 12,000 people are coming and going. Then I looked back and saw, we've not had a single heart attack in the last 27 years. Nobody died. Then I said, except for a few old people beyond a certain age, no young person ever had a heart attack here, especially they did not die of cardiac stuff. Then Sadhguru, that's why I'm here. So I don't like for every 1,000 people one doctor. Maybe it'll give you a job, but it is not necessary. We need to bring a culture of health, how we eat, how we sit, how we stand, how we breathe. If you bring this into the social life, you won't need so many doctors. See, I want you to understand, I'm not saying this with any prejudice against you, my father is a physician, all right? Among many things that you do, professions, various professions that we do, this is very vital service when people are unhealthy or people are unwell or something happens. But at the same time, for any given society, it is not a productive possibility. It is because people are getting damaged in some way, you're fixing, all right? So do you need better cars on the road or do you need more mechanic shops? Something we must decide, isn't it?
Good analogy right there, for sure. You don't want a crappy car that you need more mechanics, you want a good car so that less mechanics.
We need to cultivate a better sense of health. Health, everybody must understand, is their basic responsibility. It is not medical industry's responsibility, it is every individual should understand, this is my responsibility to be healthy, this must be built from early childhood. I'll tell you, if everybody invests just 30 minutes every day for their physical well-being, simple process, if they do, most of them won't go to the doctor. The frequency of going to the doctor will come down dramatically, dramatically. So every 1,000 people need one doctor, I don't go by that. To keep him busy, they must be falling sick, isn't it? Because once he sits there, you have to keep him busy. It's an investment of a person in the nation. So, if we work for healthy societies, we don't need so much of medicine. Definitely we need it. No human being will go through their life without ever being sick, all right? It'll always happen. But at the same time, how sick do you get? How often do you get sick? This is not to say boastful things, but in these 37 years that I've been active, that literally every day, 7 days of the week, 365 days, I have a schedule, normally 18 to 20 hours a day. I have not cancelled one event because I was not well. This doesn't mean I didn't catch a flu, this doesn't mean I didn't catch a flu, it doesn't mean I didn't get some fever, it doesn't mean I didn't get a toothache. All this happened. But they never stopped my schedules. They don't even today. Because there is a way a human being can take charge of their own bodies, their own minds. If we don't bring this into the society, then we've just lowered the human potential, especially in our country. Because I want you to understand, in this country, the only resource you have is human resource. People and population is all you have. For 1.4 billion people, you don't have a piece of land for everybody. You don't have enough mountains, you don't have enough rivers, you don't have enough forests, you don't even have a piece of sky for 1.4 billion people. Yes. but we have people. If we upgrade these people to a higher level of performance and living, we could be a miracle. But if you leave them just like that, unfocused, unhealthy and whatever, we are a recipe for disaster. Yes or no? All we have is people. So upgrading the people involves various things, but the most fundamental thing is health. The people are healthy. Today, there are issues of malnourishment, there are issues of people by choice eating bad food. Above all, one of the biggest problems with India is they are not physically active. There is no culture of fitness. Every year we trek in Kailash, 35 to 40 Indian tourists die every year because of altitude issues. I take the largest groups. We are literally 17 or 18% of the Kailash yatris who go there. From Isha, that many people go there. But we don't have a single casualty because we make sure people are in a certain condition, certain practices are taken care of, certain discipline is there. Today, because of constant year after year Indian people dying, the Chinese government put a new rule last year saying that Indians over 70 years of age cannot visit Kailash anymore. But if you are an American, you can go, if you're a German, you can go, if you're an Australian, you can go, if you're whatever else, you can go. Only Indians over 70 cannot go because Indians just die. How's that?
I was gonna say, yeah, how does Americans not die? But then again, unhealthy people don't really travel, so I get it.
It's a statement on us, how we are.
It tends to be the people who are generally most active. They're very adventurous, so that's why it really makes sense why I guess they can go there, because they're generally very active. So they're very healthy people, especially if they trek that kind of stuff, because unhealthy people, or even just people who don't go exercise but are relatively healthy, don't travel either. It's usually the most adventurous, which tends to be the relatively more healthy than the average American. Well, higher than the average American.
So especially those of you who are into becoming doctors, first and foremost thing is you must exude health, huh? If your patient sees you, you must look radiant and healthy, isn't it? You are only… She was telling me, why are they all sitting like this? She says, no, we are medical students, we are supposed to be serious. If somebody comes and tells you a patient is serious, how do you understand? That they are on the way out. If you are serious, what does it mean? Same thing. Hello? There is substantial medical and scientific evidence to show that only when you're in a pleasant state of experience, your body and your brain works at its best. And for the sake of people who become your patients, so that they don't turn into your victims, it's very important that your body and your brain works at its best. Hello? It must work at its best. For this, it's very important. If you sit here, you're peaceful and joyful by your own nature. This much you must do for yourself. Before you touch somebody else, if I want to touch you, my hands must be clean, isn't it? It's a simple humanity. Before I touch somebody else, my hands should be clean. So before you talk about other people's health, you must be an emblem of health. You must do this to yourself. It's very, very important, and it will make a world of difference for the people that you treat.
Slight pushback there. Obviously you want everyone to be healthy, but a doctor can be unhealthy. So a great example that I think of this would be like, so a doctor goes in and is like, I'm looking at your charts. You need to stop smoking or you're gonna die really soon. But yeah, it's not looking good for you. And then you'd say, it's like, well, you're smoking, why should I take your advice? Like, well, yeah, You don't have to, but according to these charts, you'll die relatively soon if you don't stop. So it's up to you whether you quit or not. So the saying goes basically, it's what is it? Follow my advice, not follow my advice, not what I do. I forget what the saying is, but just because there are people out there who have bad habits, but again, doctors like if they tell you like according to their diagnosis and whatnot that the reason why you come in here with problems is because we can see that it's smoking, even though the doctor's smoking, that doesn't mean that oh well he's smoking therefore I guess I'll just keep smoking and continue to have these problems. So it's generally up to you whether you want to quit or not. You can believe the doctor or not. So even though you yourself have like I guess another great example would be people who had made bad decisions in their life to tell you good advice. He's like, why should I follow your advice? Everything that you've done in life is bad. It's like, yes, I've learned from the bad mistakes that I made, and I'm trying to tell you what not to do to get into my position. It's kind of like that a little bit, even though the doctor wants like smoking right there at the moment. But we can, even from people who have bad behavior or who made terrible decisions in their lives, doesn't mean they can't give good advice, or can't doesn't mean they can't good advice, or can't tell you what's a better way to live life because they have lived through it, depending on the situation, of course, depending on the data, of course, and tell you, what kind of what things that you need to do to adjust. Again, but it's regardless of who says anything, it's up to you to decide whether you think it's a good advice or not, whether you want to follow it or not. I'm doing better.
Sadhguru, we have heard many stories of people who enter into a deep state of meditation and they forego basic human necessities like thirst and hunger for several months together. But science says that a person can die within 10 days of not drinking water. So, can you please explain us how such a state of metabolism can be attained?
For this you will have to bend your mind a little bit, because it's not in your textbook like this. Just
Okay, sorry. I think this is my assumption, is the fact that if you have such control over your bodies, you can slow down your metabolism. I mean, obviously bears do it when they go in hibernation, and certain animals can do it. I'm not saying that humans have this natural ability, but it could be probable. The thing is, the whole point of the fact that this is something that exists in nature. Can humans imitate it or get something close to it? Possibly. Have we seen it? I have not personally.
because it's not in your textbook like this. Just day before yesterday, somebody sent me a message from the yoga center. There is something called as jnana. This happens very often, but this happened to a foreign national, so the message came to me, little concerned. So this person went and sat in jnana at 7 o'clock in the morning, because everybody gets only a 15-minute slot to sit there because of the number of people. She sat there at 7 o'clock in the morning. She did not move till 3 p.m. How many hours is that?
8?
3 plus 8 hours. She just sat there unmoving. She didn't realize that she's sitting that long. She thought she's going to sit for a 15-minute slot. So they sent a message to me, Sadhguru, like this, she's not moved, should we disturb her? I said, leave her alone, it's okay. Like this it happens. Once it happened, I sat down way back. I thought, this was new to me also at that time, I thought I'm going to… I sat there for 25–30 minutes. When I opened my eyes, a huge crowd in front of me in a village, garlands around my neck, they're all trying to pull my legs, in India, India being what it is. And the moment I open my eyes, somebody wants to know about his business, somebody wants to know when his daughters will get married, all kinds of things. Then I say, where did all you idiots come from? They say, you've been sitting here for 13 days. And so, what happens in the system? That's what you're asking. See, right now, I'm speaking. If you check my pulse, it's somewhere around 55, 58, in that region. If I simply sit quietly, it'll drop below 40. If I simply sit down and I'm doing something without interaction, talking, moving, if I simply sit, it'll drop below 40. Now this is at ease. This will not build any unnecessary friction inside. So the amount of energy it consumes is very low. All of you medical students, you know this, 20% of the energy in the body is consumed by your brain. Though it is hardly a pound and a half at the most. So, this much body is consuming 20% of the energy. This much body is consuming only 80%. If you compare this and this in weight, it's 50 times more, much more. So, you must understand, if you keep your mind in a certain way, the amount of extra energy that you have is enormous because you're not unnecessarily consuming wasteful usage of energy is not happening. This is true with every system, whether it's a car, whether it's a machine, whether it's anything, how friction-free it is running, that much energy will come down, isn't it? Anything that's happening with big friction will consume enormous amount of energy. So physiologically, psychologically, energy-wise, if you bring friction-free function of your system, metabolism will drop and you will function very efficiently because when you want to pitch it up, you have a whole range to pitch it up. When you want to lower it, it's there. Right now, the range that most people are carrying is very, very small. If you push them into activity, they will get totally tired out. If they have nothing to do, they will freak. If you have nothing to do, you freak, isn't it? So in this condition, it'll not go down. Now, everything that you consume is higher simply because you're at a higher RPM, that's all. Within 3 days, we can teach you a simple form of meditation which will bring down your metabolism by approximately 24%. This is the highest drop that you can have in conscious states of meditativeness. If metabolism drops beyond that, you will not have any sense of body. If you sit here, you have no sense of body. It is from this that a yogi is sitting. See, if you sit down here, even if you don't have a watch, your legs, your back, your bottom, everything is keeping time, isn't it? Hello? You don't need a watch. If you sit here for 3 hours, you know you need to get up. Body knows. So, someone is sitting for hours or days because there is no sense of body. Why there is no sense of body is not only because of drop in metabolism, it is also the intensity of your energy which is not biological energy. Another dimension of energy is fully intense. Once it pervades the entire body, you have no sense of body. If I go into a program 10 hours, 12 hours, I am the only one continuously drinking water, but I am the only one who will not go to the restroom, I am the only one who will not take a break. Everybody, every 2 hours they take a break and come back. Simply because how identified you are with your physiological process determines these things to start with. But there is also sadhana, there is also certain work to be done with your system. So everybody may not be willing to do that level of sadhana, but everybody must do some sadhana. Something so that what you wish to do, you can do effectively. Whatever it is in your life you wish to do, you must be able to do it as well as you can. What the hell you do is not my concern, but whatever the hell you're doing, you must do it well, isn't it? Hello? You must do it well. That's very important for a human being, that we must do it well. So for this, it's very, very important that your own body and your own mind is not an impediment. Your own body and your own mind doesn't trip you all the time. They must be platforms on which you stand. Right now, people have sunk into it. See, this is a platform, it's good. Suppose it lets you sink into it, it's not a good place to sit and talk, isn't it? It's holding us up, so it's nice. Your body, your mind should hold you up all the time. If that happens, your dependence on the outside will come down. And also, water is not always consumed through the mouth. Body consumes water in so many ways. If you activate the system in a certain way, it consumes energy. See, right now you're eating food, drinking water, breathing air, everything for what? To generate energy. But science has clearly proved to you there's enough energy everywhere. So if you're able to take in energy as it is, if you're able to imbibe energy, how is this possible? The word yoga means just this. The word yoga means you're beginning to obliterate the boundaries of your individuality. Right now, this is me, that's you, 100% clear, isn't it? Why? Because you think this body is me, that body is you. This is a clear boundary. My body and your body has a clear boundary. My mind and your mind also largely has a boundary. Here and there we may overlap a little bit. But there is no such thing as my life and your life. Have you ever blown soap bubbles, or were you a serious boy even when you were in school? No. Did you blow soap bubbles? Let's say we sit here and blow soap bubbles. You got this big bubble, I got that big bubble. Now I said, this is my bubble, that little one is yours, this is my bubble. Oop, it went. Now I don't say this is my air, that is your air. Life is just like this. This is a living cosmos. You captured some, I captured some. How much you capture will determine the significance and the quality of your existence. I want you to understand this clearly. How much of life have you captured will determine this. You may have a big brain, you may have a huge intellect, you may have a lot of knowledge, but you will not still live a significant life. Only if you capture a lot of life, if you're a big bubble, then it's significant. If you have a big body, other people may look at you and say, he's very big, but within you, that'll not be the experience. If you have a big brain, people think, oh, he is very smart, but within you, you will not have a significant life. Only if you capture a huge amount of life within you, then if you sit here, simply if you sit here also, it's too fantastic. When it's like that, whether you open your eyes, close your eyes, whether you do something, you don't do something, it doesn't really make a difference to you. Only then you will live in the world as not being a vested interest, because what you do and do not do, what happens to you and does not happen to you, does not determine the quality of your life.
I was actually about to say that. I was going to say a little bit of pushback here. I don't really care to have a very big impact in life. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. You know, it is what it is. What I really care about is not suffering and just enjoying life. And, well, there he goes. He said it.
That is when we can really trust you, isn't it? Otherwise, we don't know why you're doing the surgery. I mean, these question marks have come, isn't it? Can I tell you a joke?
Shankara Pillai.
A man went for a surgery, he needed a surgery. So he went to the doctor. Doctor said, this is in the United States, so doctor said it'll cost you $36,000. Then he said, doctor, I cannot pay that, I don't have insurance. Then doctor said, don't worry, you pay 3,000 per month. The patient said, but that looks like a car payment, you know, installment to buy a car. The doctor smiled and said, yes, I am buying a car.
That's a crazy high car payment. He must be driving like a really fancy car. That's more like a house. but at the same time, upper middle class house, I believe.
Sadhguru, in most medical colleges, the girls are almost twice or thrice as compared to the boys who enter.
I didn't notice that. Oh, is it so? I didn't notice that. Yes, they are, more than twice.
But we see a complete reversal in this ratio when it goes to post-graduation or the super specialities. Sadhguru, my question to you is, where is a woman's life or career compromised at some stage?
What do you mean compromise? That's not the right word I would use. Maybe I'm not exactly sure what you mean by compromise. Women make choices. They're free to choose what they want. Um, there are women who goes into specialities, but there are certain specialities to go into. I think a lot of it's dealing with the women's body as well. A gynecologist, I believe, is one. The only reason why I hear that is because of Scrubs, the TV show. I absolutely love the TV show. Great TV show. Must watch if you like medical comedies. Mostly accurate. Or medical dramas. But mostly comedy. Um, and there are more women getting into the field of doctor as well. I don't, probably it's a lot more than it was before. Um, so I don't know what she means by compromise. Compromise usually means it's been broken into, or I don't know. Um, women choosing they don't want maybe too much responsibility like a doctor has. Maybe their family life, like having a child. Maybe compromise is a really weird word to use there. It's not something I would hear there. Anyways, and then again, it's also the definition of compromise. That's the way I'm familiar with it is. It's like the compound has been compromised, meaning that the security of the compound, someone made it in. It's like, oh, it's been compromised. Or like your password's been compromised, meaning that it's leaked into the internet. Like your career's been leaked on the internet, or your career's been hacked. Which would be maybe baby or family life, or just not wanting maybe too much responsibility. I don't know.
Well, has invested a higher level of responsibility in a woman's body than in a man's body. Well, more men are going to super speciality, but they were all delivered by women. All of them. So, I understand in professional career you may look at it that way, but that's not the way to look at life. Only because our mothers took time off to deliver us and nurture us, we are sitting here and talking all this, isn't it?
So childbirth.
Maybe my mother did not pursue her career. Has she become anything less, I'm asking? Has she? But I am sitting here for her. Hello? So that's not the way to look at life, but if it is some kind of a prejudice which is stopping them, then we must look at it. But I don't think so. Still, maybe for a lot of these girls who are here for medical, many of their parents think if she becomes a doctor, she will get a better husband. They're not thinking that she should become a great doctor. They're only thinking if she is MBBS, so this is a generational thing, probably in another 15, 20 years that will phase out. If you try to forcefully push it, it won't work. If you wait, individual people can do their own thing with their families.
I want to touch up real quick on that one. It says if you push, it won't work. And that's kind of the thing that's happened in the United States. Actually, people are pushing for equity, meaning that equal outcomes. or proportional outcomes. If there's a certain percentage of these people, those needs to be in those fields regardless. Otherwise, there's something wrong with the system. Um, and whether you're qualified or not, pretty much, because you need to get that right ratio in there. Otherwise, you're racist or whatever. So, and the sad truth of the matter is, there could be some people who are not qualified, but they're in there because they need what they call diversity's sake. For diversity's sake, diversity hires, which I guess a lot of people would call it, and that's kind of wrong because if you look at job fields, um, I believe someone said that I believe Sweden is considered to be the most progressive, where people have absolute free choice to pick what job they want to be in. And if you look at again, this is what I've heard, and I wouldn't doubt it to be true, that if you look at the job fields, what percentage of men and women are getting to the jobs, and they have free choice to get into whatever they want. But I think the problem is that the requirements to get the job. So, for example, if you need to be able to lift, like, say, 100 pounds, 12 hours a day, well, I don't believe there's going to be a lot of women that fill that role. There may be one or two, maybe a certain percentage of the population, but it's going to be overwhelmingly men. But you look at also human behavior, human psychology, you'll see that men and women tends to go certain directions. They have certain interests in mind that they absolutely love, which the opposite is not true. Again, there's going to be exception to the rule. Nothing is absolute, but you'll see those fields predominantly dominated by one sex or the other. So again, that's the thing about. Hold on, I was gonna.
It's out. If you try to...
That's the thing about, like, a lot of people in a certain political group are trying to push to force it to happen. They keep calling things sexist and whatnot because there's not enough females into it. But there's, generally speaking, in certain colleges, certain fields that are predominantly dominated by men, there's incentive for females, like, I forget what some of them are, but you basically can get a free college if you sign up for these things, or you get bonuses if you get into these things, or you guarantee jobs if you get into these things. But there's just not a lot of females who go into this because they're not typically their interests. Again, you can look at human psychology and these things, and you can look at, like, areas that are very egalitarian. That's the word I was looking for. In terms of, like, Sweden, they say that's pretty egalitarian. It's one of the most egalitarian countries. You'll see how the workforce is divided up. This is something that Jordan Peterson has said, and I do believe it to be true as well. We as men and women have certain tendencies we tend to go to. And you can see that in everyday life, and you can see that at work. So, anyways, just continue.
Forcefully push it, it won't work. If you wait, individual people can do their own thing with their families. But as a social phenomena, I don't think you can push it. But if you wait for another 15, 20 years, I think they will go. That kind of prejudice will go. But women by themselves may choose not to pursue careers beyond a certain point because a woman is naturally more life-oriented. When a man starts doing something, he forgets that he has to live.
I wouldn't say he forgets to live. I say his reason for living is changed. Because if you have a good woman and you have a family, you doing what you're doing to provide for your family is your reason for live, and that makes you happy. Again, you look at what Swami Sarvapriyananda has said about the three things that makes you happy. Fourth one being obviously what is it? Enlightenment. But outside of that, the three scientific things. The third one, which is the longest happiness, which is helping others, which would be your family, would be one of those people that you would help.
A woman knows that I'm alive, I must live.
I don't see that in the Western world very much. That both genders for sure, but yeah.
So because of this, she may take a wise decision, how much of what to do. Man's problem is, he just wants to be one step ahead of somebody, even if his life is ruined. Generally for a woman, her experience of life is more important than what somebody else is doing.
Sorry, I'm pausing a lot here. Don't know about that one anymore. I would agree, generally speaking. I guess those who are not indoctrinated to the social media, absolutely true here. Especially those who are family oriented, they definitely, this is so important to them. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Women who are family oriented and not indoctrinated to social life, 100% agree. Um, the reason why I'm saying this is because if you look at people who are, at least those who are in the social media, especially women, and men too, but I think women are a bit more influenced than men. I think there's a higher percentage of them. What the percentage is, I don't know. But what they do is they compare their lives with the people who live the high life in social media. And again, men will do it too. Um, but they'll see like, oh, this is the way I should be treated, or this is what I want, and so I need to find this. So it's not she's looking for an experience, but the wrong kind of experience. She's looking external experience, looking for temporary pleasure, I guess you could say. Again, the three things that makes you happy, she's looking for number one. Whereas the woman who's looking for a family, who genuinely wants a family, is doing number three before I hold that one finger up. But look at number three, and then most of us are number two, where we're just having a job, and jobs relatively making us happy.
So she's making a wiser choice.
I slightly disagree. Where men, I guess I'm pausing right here. I've talked quite a lot, but I did pretty good. I didn't talk this much. Anyways, I think for men though, working the career and providing their family, while you may think it's a bad thing, I don't think so. As long as like, the way I see it, in a way, perhaps this is my own personal perspective, that if I'm providing for my family's healthy and happy, I am willing to work that, and it makes me happy. I am sacrificing for my family in a sense. So I think most men who are, again, same thing with the women that are family oriented, find work in their job, being successful in the career. By being successful in the career, they can provide great things for their family. I think that what makes them happy as well. They want to make sure that they succeed so that their family can succeed. So while the women and the men who have this mentality of family first kind of thing, I think they would find the greatest happiness, especially if they find each other. You have some women who are looking for this exotic life that they see on social media and are never going to be happy unless they get that. So they're looking for number one on the happy list of so I'm surviving on the scientific terminology, which is just buying things, going to places, all temporary happiness. Number two is like finding a job that makes you happy, but it's just short term. And then number three is just doing things for other people, which is the longer term happiness. And number four, of course, which is enlightenment. So, but in terms of what at least those who are not enlightened, those three things are the very plausible ones. And this one is the one that I believe family-oriented people will get, because the woman will be providing for the child, taking care of the child the father, taking care of the child and her husband and the household, making sure everything's great and clean for the husband, and the husband's working to make sure that the family, the wife and the child has what they need and a little bit, a few extras, and go on vacations and stuff. So they work together to complement each other and to make each other happy, and that will give them the long-term happiness. So, anyways, before we get to the next question, Hippocratic Oath tells us to keep our patient first. Anyways, that's my reactions for at least for this one. Hopefully, I didn't talk too much this time, and I did go a lot longer into the video. Hopefully, there's two more videos. Might be three actually. I see that's 2 hours and 13 minutes on this one. So, anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.